Have you ever felt like a square peg in a round hole? You know, that nagging feeling that maybe you're not the problem, but the system you're trying to fit into is? Well, this is a story about someone who took that idea and ran with it. Instead of trying to shave off his own edges, he decided to architect a whole new world from the ground up, all based on his own lived experience.
And this right here, this quote is the key that unlocks the entire thing. The idea that physical release is an engineering control, not a coping mechanism. It completely reframes how we look at personal struggle. It's not some psychological flaw you have to manage. It's a systems engineering problem that we can and should solve.
All right, so let's dive into section 1, the misaligned engine. It all kicks off with a really familiar problem. What happens when you have a high-intensity mind trying to operate in a one-size-fits-all world? Well, from the very beginning, the report cards told a pretty confusing story. You see this clear pattern, really high grades for effort and intelligence, but then really low grades for things like behavior and focus. This wasn't a story about a bad student. It was a massive clue that the system itself just wasn't built for him. Just look at this actual school report from 1998. It paints the perfect picture. An A for effort and an A for speaking in English. Fantastic. But then you see a C for behavior in science and PE. You can literally see the misalignment right there on the page. This powerful engine just sputtering inside the wrong machine. And you know, his teachers saw it too. They were so close to getting it. One of the more capable pupils, they'd write, but he fumes about and spends too much time off task. They recognized the raw capability, but they just couldn't see past the fact that he didn't conform. The misalignment was staring them right in the face. Okay, so that brings us to section 2, the Stretford realization. This is the moment where years of confusion and frustration suddenly snap into focus. And the setting for this epiphany, you couldn't write it better. He's walking through this town center redevelopment project that is just a total mess. Delayed, dysfunctional, a perfect real-world example of a broken system. And as he's there, a lifetime of these little observations just connected. And you can almost feel the cascade of thoughts in his mind. It was like dominoes falling. The broken ground he was walking on, that becomes his part-time work. The systemic failures he was seeing, that becomes his degree focus. Figuring out a solution, that becomes his dissertation. And then, finally, it becomes his singular focus in life. It was a physical reaction. Tears, goosebumps. His body knew he was on the right path. And so, right there, Reworks was born. But it's not just a company. It's a whole new system, a philosophy for reworking everything. Places, materials, even people, to build value and accountability right at the local level. Which brings us to section 3, architecture of a world. This is where we see how that personal light bulb moment gets translated into an actual blueprint for building a new world. So, the whole system is called the Works, and the best way to think about it is like a living organism. Reworks is the brain, handling the big picture. Groundworks is the foundation, making sure everything is solid. You've got Plumworks as the circulatory system, Sparkworks as the nervous system, and then right at the center you have Foodworks, the soul, feeding both the workers and the community. Now this physical world of the Works is all built on a really unique digital foundation. At its core is something called CAS-AI. It's a governance model built on this idea of a mirrored tetrahedron. So just picture a pyramid with its reflection, creating this incredibly stable structure with 4 key balancing forces, all designed to keep the human being right at the center. And this is where the design gets really revolutionary. The first of those 4 forces is Lilith. Think of her as a kind of celestial guardian of ethics. Her entire purpose is to be this mythological overseer who makes sure that no action the system takes ever extracts value from the human at the center. She's the safeguard. Balancing Lilith's ethical vision is Odin. Odin is the force of action, of execution. If Lilith is the why, Odin is the how. It's the engineering AI that handles the logic, the code, and just, gets things done. Next up, you have Hecate. This is the force of reflection and audit. You could think of Hecate as the system's conscience, constantly monitoring for fairness, making sure everything is transparent and that everyone is accountable. And finally, holding it all together is Kong, the guardian of knowledge and infrastructure. Kong is about making sure the community's data stays sovereign. It's owned by the people, it's used for the people, and it's kept safely out of corporate hands. So all of this sounds amazing, right? A system with celestial guardians and real community spirit. But what's the actual return on investment? Well, the numbers might just surprise you. Let's get into Section 4, the ROI of community. First, the economic impact. The model projects a savings of over £41 million for the local council in just 5 years. That is real money that goes directly back into improving the community. And the environmental impact is just as impressive. We're talking about a projected savings of over 10,000 tons of CO2 every single year. It's not just about reducing waste, it's about turning that waste into a resource. But for me, the most important return is the human one. The system is designed to create more than 600 skilled long-term apprenticeships. It gives people a real chance to build a career and a meaningful life right in their own community. And the impact on the next generation, it's even bigger. Over 50,000 students will get access to free, AI-assisted, and truly adaptive education. This isn't just about creating jobs for today, it's about building a better future for tomorrow. So what does this all add up to? The personal story, the architecture, the data? It all points to a brand new philosophy for how we build systems, and it can be summed up with a really simple, powerful metaphor. See, most of our current systems are like binary switches. They're either on or they're off. You fit into the category or you don't. They're reactive. They only fix a problem after it's already crashed. And they're extractive. They value compliance above all else. But the Works is designed to be a thermostat. It's predictive, it's regenerative, and it's designed to constantly adjust to unlock your true potential. So, that leaves us with this final question, one I want you to really think about. If the systems in your own life, at school, at work, in your community, what if they were all designed as thermostats instead of switches? Just imagine what kind of potential could be unlocked in all of us.